On tonight's edition of CHGO Bears After Dark, we're going to be looking at what are the most important four-game stretch in the 2026 season. Plus, got some really interesting stats on travel miles and net rest versus opponents that the Bears will face this year. Might look like a tough schedule on paper, but some things have fallen the Bears' way. We'll clue you in on it all. Adam Rank is back. We're talking about it all starting right now. Welcome back to CHGO Bears After Dark. We're going to take a second look over at this schedule here tonight as we're moving back to weekly Monday night shows, even through the offseason. That's right. Always here to entertain the good people, the good Bears fans. You fine people, the diehards that stick it out through the dark days of the summer as we await training camp. I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, is Phil Ottochian. Shayne Marsaw should be here later on. He's at his kids' basketball game. I know last week I said it was Phil's soccer game for his kids, which wasn't true. So Shayne might not be at a basketball game, but who knows? I always give weird updates. But the update you all need to know is the great, the man, the meatball, Adam Rank, back in the saddle. Welcome back, Adam Rank. How we doing tonight?
Oh, doing great. Thank you so much. This is the first time in a long time where I didn't have something going on a Monday, no sports over the weekend. And I thought I was free and clear. I was about to go practice my chipping. And then I got a call from Greg. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I got to work. I got to go to work. Got to talk about some Chicago Bears. But I appreciate you having me on and being able to do this once again. May I give a quick update? Which means
you can only if you apologize for being the sole reason that the White Sox are now like this hot team that I have to deal with. Took 2 or 3 of the Cubs, and it all started with your Angels, getting swept by the White Sox, and so now I'm dealing with that. As long as you take that responsibility, the floor is yours, of course.
Yeah, everybody's out on the Angels. Like, it's so bad. Like, I've lived through some terrible Angels teams in my life. Listen, I know that as the Cubs fans and the White Sox fans, we can all commiserate. There have been some bad seasons during our collective histories. The Angels are currently going through their very worst. And they had some bad teams in the late 80s, early 90s. This is the absolute dirt worst. And it doesn't look like it's ever going to get better until, this is for all the vitriol that everybody had. This is the one thing that always, I guess maybe this is why I always defended the McCaskies so much, is because at the end of the day, whether you agreed with their methods or not, I think you could argue you couldn't argue against the fact that the McCaskies want to win football games. The owner of the Angels does not want to win football game, or doesn't want to win football game. Doesn't want to win baseball games either, which is a problem when you own a baseball team. So even the McCaskies at their worst, what you guys perceive to be their worst, is still a million times better than Artie Moreno.
Well, we appreciate that silver lining. So you were saying before I totally threw you off your spot and hit you in the heartstrings of your baseball team.
Well, first of all, I think we should acknowledge Phil. I don't want Phil to sit there for
that's true.
Forever.
That's true.
Before I launch into a story.
That's rude.
I have no idea what these two are talking about right now, as I don't watch baseball or coach soccer.
Oh,
so we got Adam coaches soccer, Greg.
Yes.
He's also your friend.
Yes.
I'll get it
all
Greg.
Figured out.
This to you Americans who refer.
Even I don't know what any of you guys are doing. I love you, and that's what counts.
Owners are paying for grass, apparently, for the World Cup, and players are pissed because we're not getting grass fields and domes like they will do for soccer.
It should be.
Maybe soccer is bringing finally something positive to the States.
No, listen, when I had to change, I had to change out of my Arsenal kit to come do this show right now because Arsenal won a big match today. But I just wanted to give an update. So if you ever wondered, you're like, where was he on Monday? So this is what my schedule was like. Monday nights, we would practice our Friday Night Lights football. My daughter's football or soccer team, sorry, Americans.
There you go. Thank you.
She had practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. My boys' soccer team had practice on Wednesday. Friday Night Lights is on Friday, 2 games on Saturday. So my daughter's soccer team, who is now transitioning into club, we finished middle of the table. We were unbeaten in our final 3. So we did really well. We finished strong. My daughter's flag football team made it all the way to the championship game. Yeah, we won a very contentious semifinal game. And it was funny because this team across the way got a lot of wind of their jaw. And I let them know it too when we had the game sealing pick 6. Actually, no, I thought we had a pick 6, but my girl ran out of bounds. Like there's no kickoffs. So she ran out of bounds. They call timeout. It's running clock. And I'm screaming. So my quarterback in week 1, she didn't realize we had won a game. And I'm like, Abby, all you got, I don't mean to air out Abby here, but like all you have to do is kneel down. Kneel down. And she steps back and she throws a ball in the air that it turns into a pick 6 that we lost the game on. So she learned. So I'm like, if you cannot take a knee, I will put anybody back there. Just anybody needs to take a step and just fall down. And this coach across the way comes unglued. He's like, you can't do that. I'm like, I can't. Like, have you watched football ever? Like, this is exactly what happens all the time. Like this is what we do. And one of my girls had a touchdown called back because she jumped. Like, oh, she jumped. I'm like, what? I'm like, she like hop step. Like, like Matt Forte would do or something like that. And it was crazy. And I'm like, you guys, she hopped. She didn't jump. And the guy's like, what's the difference? I'm like, that's 2 different words, hop and a jump. The jump. And I'm like trying to tell him, I pulled out my phone and I'm starting to show a video of Saquon Barkley jumping over that guy that landed himself on the Madden cover. I'm like, this is what they're talking about is you can't jump because it's a player safety issue. She's not jumping over a player. She's hop stepping. It's way different. And then later in the game, the other team did it. And the guy goes, well, the ball, it was out of bounds already. And I'm like, so if my girl tackles somebody out of bounds, it doesn't matter because the play's over. Like, you're not making sense to me. It doesn't matter. We won. We got to the championship game, which was awesome. The finale though is my boys soccer team. The Invincibles, they went undefeated. They smoked everybody. The other team tried to cheat us. We already had won the title when we went out to our last game. So this team's like, hey, let's play 7-on-6. Like, they added an extra player. They literally Tom Brady'd the football or the soccer ball to you. Took all the air out of it, and we still beat them 3-1. So didn't matter anyways.
You guys won. Scottish Bear here in the chat says my nephew plays for Glasgow Celtic.
Yes.
Just won the league in Scotland, and I hate soccer. Still proud of him.
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to hate soccer if you live in Scotland.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
well,
Adam, real quick, I haven't lost a flag football game in 5 years. We're undefeated again, and we got a big matchup this Sunday versus either the undefeated Falcons or the undefeated Chargers.
Something must
gotta
give.
lay it out. Yep, something's gonna give. So youth sports.
I think I'm gonna fly Phil out here this summer to work with the girls for a training camp. We'll do a week of training and then get them on because like we have the concepts, we do the things that I'm trying to like, and you're like, these girls, you would act like they'd never seen a football before every time, but they're so athletic that they just kind of wing it and they're good. So it's like, well, they're having fun. What can you do?
Well, I'm surrounded by coaching greatness every day here on CHGO Bears, whether it's Adam or Phil, and of course Mark Carmen and his 3 softball championships that he's led CHGO to. So it's just surrounded by coaching greatness, and of course Ben Johnson, pretty good in his own right as well. While we get into it, now that we're turning the corner and getting into some schedule talk here tonight, Shayne Marsaw is efforting towards his office, and he'll be jumping on here momentarily here coming up after the next break. But before we get there, let's have our Xfinity big takeaway. That's right. This is the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. And basically just going to lay it out to both of you. Obviously, the schedule was brought out on Thursday night as we all kind of wait on pins and needles to know what our scheduling fate is until the month of January. And it really does, whether you work covering football or you're just a fan, it does kind of dictate weekends, holidays, Thursdays, Mondays, and you kind of build it around it, for all intents and purposes. So, Phil, I'm going to start with you, my friend. Fire away, because I haven't had an opportunity. Been so busy. My mom's selling her house. I haven't really had a chance to talk to any of you guys on what your thoughts are on the schedule, and just to kind of give it a one over for those that really didn't get a chance to see it. If you're watching here on YouTube, here is the schedule laid out in front of you. You got the Panthers, Vikings, Eagles, Jets, first 4 games, and then on it goes. Pretty bad gauntlet, weeks 5 through 9 before the bye, where you have 3 primetime games. You got the Packers, Falcons, Patriots, Seahawks, Bucks. The Patriots, Seahawks, Bucks, all back-to-back-to-back primetime games, and then the list goes on after the bye. So without further ado, Phil, as you look that over, what stood out to you the most for the Bears' destiny here in 2026?
Well, I'm the kind of guy, I've never believe in rankings, no pun intended. I love Adam, but I don't believe in rankings, strengths of schedule and all that, because I'm old enough to remember last year when the Bears had the hardest strength of schedule going into the season. Then all of a sudden it changed because Peter Bukowski got all amped up that we got a easy schedule, and all these other fans were all upset because now it's an easy schedule. You play who you play. I love the fact that we open up with the Carolina Panthers, and you set the tone right there to see how you're going to handle the season and how that is going to. I always believe that opening game I was at with you, Greg. I think you were there. Maybe you didn't go, but I saw you before. Bears Vikings to open the season last year. And the environment, the electricity, and we end up losing a game we should have won. But you saw the positive signs. You try to build off that, and you see how a football team gets off the ground running. When you go 0-2, people start wondering what's going to happen. So I think last season gives a perspective for this season, and you kind of build off that. The prime time games in a row there, that's going to be a tough circuit, because I know fans love prime time, but players, the waiting and anticipating to get to the game is a tough one. And that kind of precedence in a schedule set there, I don't think I've ever seen 3 primetime games ever for the Chicago Bears, maybe back in 85 or 86.
In a row.
Yes,
yeah, right.
In a row.
Yeah.
In a row. It would be something to look up if they've ever had that before. I don't remember, and I watched every game since I've been alive. So it's crazy. That is a pickle there.
Well, I think last year, and I don't think it was intended because of how the schedule shook out. But Shayne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and welcome to the program, Shayne. But they played the Packers on Saturday Night Football, and then they played the Niners on Sunday Night Football and then the Lions, or am I missing a game of those three?
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
We could go back and look. I
Everything's a
probably
blur
could have
at
just
this point.
Googled that.
I don't think it was set up preseason to be that way.
Well,
There
all
might
I
have
know
been
is
a
now,
switch.
right, to your point, they don't typically schedule it that way, but I know at the end of the year we started ringing them off every week, it felt like. But regardless, to your point, it's certainly unprecedented for most accounts. Shayne, now that you've kind of jumped in, you kind of saw what as things were moving through here on the show. Your big takeaway, because like I said to the other guys, really haven't had a chance to talk to you either since the schedule got released. And I know for the four of us, this is one of our favorite things, is knowing what games are and hope that you guys can come into town at some point. So what was your biggest takeaway from seeing that schedule put out there?
When the schedule drops, I immediately go to the last 4 games. That's what I do to see, kind of where, what direction the league is thinking. And once again, I think that they're looking at it like this is going to come down to these divisional games and closing it out, much like the Bears did last year. And, I think Phil brought up a great point with these primetime games. And I think it's important. And I understand the thought process of saying that players are sitting around. I look at the Bears a little bit different because it's Caleb Williams, it's Luther Burden, it's Roma Dunze. It's these young guys and they're different. They're not from the old school. I think they thrive off of that. It's a social media world. It's not the Bears from 2005 and 2006. It's not the Bears from 1985. These guys want that. And I understand it. It's a difference in waiting. It's, your day is different, but these guys, these young guys, especially guys like Caleb Williams, these guys thrive off of that. And the league knows that. And that's the first name that I heard when I logged on tonight was Peter Bukowski. That's why he's tweeting more, because he's worried too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, primetime. I love primetime. I love the anticipation. I love the hype. I love the atmosphere. I love the television presentation. For the most part, I know some people can quibble with who's announcing the games, whether it's, Troy Aikman or others and otherwise. But then the other thing I like about it too is I get to watch the rest of the NFL in peace and then watch the Bears stand alone. And then obviously for us, Adam, we don't live on the East Coast. I know for most
Nobody's
people, prime
perfect.
time is pretty brutal for the East Coast. You live on the West Coast, so you get it as good as it gets for primetime games.
Well, actually, I think the games sort of start too early. Like, push that back. Like, give us a chance to get home. Like, listen, like if you don't want to stay up to watch the game, that's fine. But at least give me an opportunity to get home to make that decision. If you don't want to be up till 1 a.m. watching football, then fine. Then you're not a fan. That's fine. Go to bed. Do whatever you got to do. I don't want to hear about it. But there's nothing better though than winning the Thursday night game and then being like, the rest of the weekend is just so chill. You're like, I don't care. Like who's playing who, you're watching, you're still going down to the local watering hole and perhaps catching a few games. You're like, I don't know. I'll rub my mouth. I'll talk a bunch of junk. However, if you lose that Thursday game, you probably won't see me. I'll be hiding out. I'll be doing something. I'll be laying low. Like, I don't want to see anybody for a while. So it is pretty cool. And it just goes to show that the Bears, regardless of what every internet troll tries to tell you, the Bears are the most relevant team in the NFL. Even to the point of like the fact that there are so many people trying to troll the Bears is a clear example that they live in the heads of fans around the world. Whether you have a connection to the Bears or not, everybody seems to have an opinion because I'm a football fan, so I have opinions on this stuff, but it's like another sport, like let's say basketball. Like I don't care about any other team outside of the Lakers. Like whatever. Like what nothing matters to me. Like I don't feel like I have to go troll like Spurs fans or whatever. Well, Tottenham fans, those Spurs fans, yes, but like the San Antonio Spurs, no. So it's like it just goes to show you the Bears are relevant. And I want to go back two things that Phil said is God, Phil had such a great point to start off. Oh, last year, everybody's like, this schedule's too tough. The Bears, don't get excited, Bears fans. It's year one with Ben Johnson. I remember my friend Carmen, she kept going like, hey, Adam, chill out. Like, it's Ben Johnson. This is the hardest schedule in the NFL. And I'm like, I don't care. And went about my business. And then what Shayne was saying too, this was a point that I brought up on the NFL.com is on the NFL Network, excuse me. I said, you know what? Every team should finish with their division. And I love the way that the NFC North is finished. I don't know if this is the same way for the other teams, but like, why don't they do it this way? Like, it's so easy. You can take weeks 5, 6, 7, and then the last 3 weeks of the season should all be division games. Like, it's so, you know, that you play those teams every year, but we got some guy who works in the league office, and it's not that Mike North, it's a different Mike North, who just loves to come out and be like, his job is so tough. Can't be like, no, it's not. You know who the teams are. Right. We already know who 15 of the 17 opponents are for the Bears next season. You start scheduling it now. Like, what's taking so long? Like, what is your like, again, this goes to job security. Because like, I could probably settle this schedule in 5 minutes, but it's like somebody's full-time job. So I don't want to take that from them because AI is coming for them anyways. I don't want to take that from them.
Well, there's a lot of intertwinement with the schedule makers and all the different things that are happening at the different stadiums and venues. But Adam, I know that
there's no events. Like Taylor Swift is not playing an outdoor concert in Soldier Field in December.
Adam,
I can pretty much say that.
They have to figure out how to move the Chicago Fire games and the 40.
They have their own stadium. Where's their games are done now, right? Or they have their own stadium now, yeah? Or is that
they will at some point. But Adam, before the show, I don't want you to forget. You told me to set you up because you still were kind of irritated about you had a take on the schedule that you wanted to make sure you laid out here on the air, and so I wanted to make sure you had the floor to do that.
I just did it. No, but it goes back. It goes back to what I was talking about a moment ago. It's like I posed the question: why is everybody just? This is the thing that bothers me is that somebody was talking about the Patriots. Like if you were looking at teams that are going to regress, they give the benefit of the doubt to everybody else. Like, oh, the Patriots, but like the Patriots had a cupcake schedule last year. Now it's going to be much tougher. Teams around them are getting better, but they're like, yeah, but Drake May should be better. Like, yeah, Drake May should be better. So then, and I'm like, but with the Bears, like, why can't you say that with the Bears? Like, you don't think that Caleb Williams is going to get better? Like, only Drake May can get better? Like Caleb Williams? And I know a lot of people too, they're like, why do you feel this way? They're like, well, look at what happened with Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud. And I'm like, those are teams that refused to build around their quarterback. This goes back to when I was on draft night and I was on TTNL. And I was fighting both of these guys because I'm like, we have to go all in on the offense because I don't want to be in a situation where our quarterback is regressing because we didn't put enough weapons around him. So the Bear, if any quarterback should be given the benefit of the doubt he should be better this year, it should be Caleb, who is now in the second year with this new offensive coordinator with Ben Johnson. We brought in a lot more players, just going from Smythe to Sam Roush is a huge upgrade. I know it's going to suck to lose DJ Moore, but it's like and Colson Loveland's going to get better. This is a team that is actually trying to get better offensively and didn't just have one great year and was like, okay, we're good. We're just moving on. Like, no, and again, I think it goes back to the Bears tax, the people not wanting to give the Bears credit. That they just can't recognize the
taxes. There's all these taxes for the Bears, Greg.
Oh,
there's the referees tax.
Don't you think a lot of it is because
tax,
the Roger Goodell tax?
Don't you think it's because the Bears have been low-hanging fruit for 3 decades that people don't want to lose that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Honestly,
I really think that's what it is because you could always default to the Bears don't have a quarterback. The Bears don't win consistently. The Bears have never passed for 4,000 yards. Now they're on the cusp of losing all of that. And it's just, they're grasping at straws at this point.
I want to
Yeah,
say
and-
something to what Adam said to piggyback. The fact that you have to, as an analyst, and I believe all of us except Greg hold that in regards to Caleb Williams.
Thank you, Adam. No, it's
I'm
fine.
just saying,
You can
Greg
leave
will
me out
tell
of it.
you.
You can
He
leave me
doesn't
out of
want
it.
to
It's
be
fine. I have
involved
no
with this.
problem.
But
That means I take no accountability for anything I
Exactly.
say, which is way
Oh my
better.
God.
I'm just saying, Greg has gone out and said, I'm not an analyst. I'm a
Oh my God.
fanalist. And that's
right, I'm a
okay.
fan.
I know that I don't put my fandom first when I analyze Bears players, Bears tape, draft tape. Caleb Williams is the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. He's the best quarterback in the NFC North. It's not hard to see that. The philosophies of teams and where they go and how they build and how they get completions and completion percentages and all these shields and swords analysts and haters and blog boys have are not watching the tape just to watch it. They want to see an error. They want to see faults. Well, and then in the biggest of moments, it's like Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, whatever singer you could throw out there, Michael Jackson, the greatest ones, in the biggest of moments, they always step up. They always give you the performance that everybody is talking about and can't believe. Caleb Williams did it. I'm sorry. I don't remember. I know you're friends with the Packer girl. She goes out there all the time. I'm sorry. What is done consistently isn't luck. It's a skill and a trait that can't be measured, like someone's heart or determination. You could see it if you know the game. You could see this guy's special. He's on a different level. What Caleb has done from year one in coaching neglect, getting sacked 63 times, and I've said it should have been 163 times.
68.
68, 168 times. Thank you, Greg.
That's a good analyst right there. Go ahead.
Telling you, he's stepping up in the pocket.
Hey, got him.
And he goes to somebody who understands offensive philosophy to a level of not some petulant Ryan Poles hire of Shane Waldron and the fire, keeping Eberflus, all that calamity and this just craziness, dysfunction. Now you have organization with a plan. Everybody else. And what does Caleb do? When it matters most, he wins those games. And I'm sorry, no matter what anybody says, you can make any excuse up for the quarterbacks that we've had. I don't need to list them. You know them. And a certain receiver on the last play of the game was not the first time you've seen DJ Moore do what he did. And that's the end of the season. The curtain drops. It just leaves you with that feeling of a movie that was so incredible. The ending, you wanted them to be victorious, like Rocky 1. It's like Rocky 1. He didn't win, but he did win. If you think about it, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
and that's Caleb Williams.
Well, and to that point, to kind of try
Thank
to
you
tie
for my
all this
rant.
together.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. But to tie it all together here, you know, to your point, Adam, about, you know, Ben Johnson not settling for a top 5 offense last year, which for me was the best offense I've ever seen in my lifetime. It was the most touchdowns the Bears offense has scored in a single season in franchise history. So the numbers back up what my eyes told me I was watching last year. But on top of that, when you talk about the primetime games and why they're being put on primetime, and you bring up the Rocky analogy, he loses in Rocky 1, but they won because of what you saw. Well, I think this Bears at San Francisco game is kind of case in point to that. Eric Beauchamp in the chat says the Bears at San Francisco game is currently on NFL Network. Well, that was one of the games of the year. The Bears came out on the short end of the stick. They score over 40 points, and it was one of the best offensive displays on both sides of the football I'd ever seen, matching punch for punch, both sides, 2 head coaches, 2 great play callers. And what does Ben Johnson do after the game was over? He doesn't call out the defense, who gave up 40-plus points. He called out the offense for not getting enough points in the first half. And so I think to that point of everything you guys just said, that's why they are doubling down on the offense. That's why the NFL is doubling down on them on prime time. And that's kind of why we've seen the schedule lay out as it has. And that was the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. So we're going to take a quick time out here. And when we come back, we're going to, all four of us, decide and nominate what we think are the toughest 4-game stretch in the 2026 season. I've got some interesting thoughts on it, but I'm certainly interested to hear what you guys have to say as well. Make sure you guys are, getting involved in the chat as well. Let's see what you have to say. And when we come back 2 minutes away, we'll have that conversation. But first, got to give a shout out to our good friends over at Sunnyside Dispensary. That's right. They are here to elevate your baseball season. Weather's starting to warm up, and you got to make yourself right at home with our friends over at Sunnyside. They are your home for judgment-free shopping, and they have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from, and most importantly, easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They are always taking care of you good people wherever you are in Illinois. So if you are taking in a baseball game at Wrigley Field, they got one right down the street from the Marquee. They got one right across the street from Bub City on Clark Street. Or if you're as far south as Champaign or as far north as South Beloit, they have a store near you. Make sure you hit them up for their expert guidance and head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun and only for 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders. Shout out Sunnyside. And got to give a shout out to our good friends over at ComEd. We appreciate you, ComEd, as always. And hey, we're always looking for ways to stand out at work. I know I am. And what if I told you there is an easy way to save your company hundreds of thousands of dollars? I think that would get you in the good graces of one Jake Flanagan, certainly. So just sign up for a free facility assessment from ComEd. Their engineer will give you free insights and actions that can help you save your business on energy costs. Basically, they'll create a plan to help you stand out and your business saves for free. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more. Actual savings will vary based on customers' usage and rate. All right, we're back here on CHGO Bears After Dark. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out Adam Rank, Phil Ottochian, Shayne Marsaw for joining, as always, as we continue to roll things through. And shout out to our guy, Craigulator1 here. The Craigulator gifting 20 CHGO Sports YouTube memberships. So nice. Enjoy those in the chat. Appreciate
Craigulators.
Craigulators, mount them. That's what he does. Yep, that's right. So appreciate you, Craigulator, as always. And I also saw my guy, Brad Hassey, who I had the pleasure to golf with on Sunday. Appreciate the invite, Brad. Appreciate you tuning in, as always, my good friend. And so let's get into this, guys, because I have some interesting thoughts. I'll make my thoughts quick, but here's once again the schedule. You know, Lovie Smith used to break this down in quarters. You can't really do that anymore now that there's
when it was 16, like a normal schedule.
Yeah, that the good old days. And one day it's going to be an 18-game schedule. So brace yourselves, and then I'm sure everyone's going to have to each one. You know, when it gets to 18 games, make one trip overseas. Every team every year is my prediction. That'll eventually become a reality for the NFL sooner rather than later. But once again, you've got those first 4 games that I mentioned earlier: Panthers, Vikings, Eagles, Jets, 3 of the 4 at home. Then you got Packers, Falcons, Patriots, Seahawks. Tough slate there of 4. Then you got the Bucks, Saints, Lions, Jags. That third quarter, if you will, seems like some winnable games there on the schedule. And then you got those final 5: Dolphins, Bills, Packers, Lions, Vikings, some division games to finish the year. And we can kind of go through this, a little slower, but essentially for me, the most important 4-game stretch of this season, and this is the total meatball in me. I do this every year, so bear with me, but it is the first 4 games of the year. You can point to me and show me much tougher stretches in their schedule. In the middle of the season, certainly, at the end of the year, for sure. That Dolphins, we've talked about it last week, but that Dolphins, Bills, Packers, you're on the road in Miami, then you're short week on a Saturday to Buffalo on the road, and then another short week on a Friday on Christmas Day against the Packers at home. You can show me all the different 4-game stretches later in the year. To me, there's none more important than the first 4. You have to start the season 3-1 or better. It cannot be any worse because of what lays after that. You need to build yourself a cushion, and not just a cushion and not just a margin of error that they created for themselves last year. But to me, it's more about momentum. And you have to have positive momentum as once you get to the gauntlet of weeks 5 through 10, like the Bears if they're in a good spot at that point, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but they're going to compete in every game. But if you put yourself behind the 8 ball in those first 4 games of the year, that's going to be, I think, what creates a trickle-down effect in a negative way. Now, you could say, well, hey, last year they started 0-2 and they worked out just fine. Well, I'm not going to rest on that laurel, and it's going to continue to be the statement for me that those first 4 games are the most important, because if this team can piggyback off of the end of the year that they had last year and get back to the belief train that this team had, where it didn't matter what game was being played, they knew they had a shot to win at the end. They have to revitalize that mentality, that momentum, that confidence in those first 4 games of the season. So that's where I'm at, and we'll kick it around the horn. Rank, I'll go to you. I don't know where you stand on this.
No, I mean, obviously you want to start off well and, hit the ground running, as to say. And you don't want to do one of those things, too, where you're also like, well, we were 0-2. Like, I don't want to be going into week 3 against the Eagles on Monday Night Football being like, well, we were 0-2 last year. I don't want that to be Troy Aikman's talking point going into that game. So I do appreciate that, what you're saying right now. It is tough because we don't know how these teams are going to be performing. That's one of the greatest fallacies of all this, is that everybody's like, look at this schedule. Like, you don't know what the teams are going to look like year to year, because no league overturns more than the NFL, where good teams are good or good teams are bad and bad teams are good. You just never know. Just look at the Bears last year. But I think after the bye week, and props to the Bears for having a week 10 bye week. I will say this: the New York Giants haven't had a bye week earlier than week 8 since 2011. And in that season, it was week 7. And then I got bored and didn't want to look up anymore because I was already annoyed. Those teams always get handed. The Bears had a bye week before week 8, 3 out of the last 5. And now we get one in week 10. But I'm looking at those games after that, where you got the Saints, the Lions, the Jags, and the Dolphins. And based on how those teams finished last year, you would hope at the very worst that you're going to be 3-1 coming off of that stretch, assuming that you're going to be, Jacksonville is better than people give them credit for, but that's a game at home. But these are this could be a difficult game. You got Miami on the road, a place that, especially this late in the year, week 14, December 13th, like that's tough for a lot of these teams, especially for teams coming from Chicago, going down there and playing in the cold. New England historically has played horribly on the road in Miami because of that very reason. So I really, truly believe that we got to take care of business on that stretch before we start the games with Buffalo and closing out with the division.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it's a little silver lining that the game's in December, not in September in Miami. Maybe it'll be a little cooler, but we'll need a little bit of weather luck when we get to that point. Phil, we'll just keep kicking around the horn. What's your 4-game stretch? I'm getting crap in the chat because, of course, I'm a moron, and I said the toughest part of the schedule, and then immediately went away. That's not what I meant. I meant the most important, and I just said
you said important.
Well, I'm an idiot,
and
I think we all know this by now. And Scott,
former analyst Greg Brett.
I meant most important. I'm sorry. I am sorry. It's the off season.
Okay.
There is no off season. Apparently, the after hour or the after dark goes all year now.
Yes.
I just believe that, you have a very great point, Greg. As a coach, I believe you have to set the tone early on who and what you are as a football team. What is your identity? I think Ben Johnson has been outstanding, sending the message to the media to talk to his team through the media. He's been outstanding talking to his team and keeping and holding accountability. So that right there and the end presser when he says to these guys, next year is a whole different year. Some of these guys aren't even going to be here. And that right there tells me that, Greg, you're 100% right. That opening 4 week is the most important of the season. The most difficult, Adam is right as well. I think that Miami, listen, as I coach football, the last thing I want in October is a hot game after you've been in these cool 60s, 40s, 50s. Yeah. Now all of a sudden it's 90. To get players to give everything in 90s and humidity, that's the most difficult, that transition. You just see we laid an egg there. And that's what you worry about in that stretch. And then turn right back around and go to the cold in Buffalo. That right there is probably the most difficult. So the most important, we're going to play on Greg's mistakes, Shayne. Important, he's right. Most difficult,
yes, most important right. Is what I meant.
The 3 families still win.
Still win.
Save me, Shayne.
But it's true. Like I was, I just want to. What Phil was talking about too is like living out here where I live. I was just talking about my boys' soccer team winning all those games. Because of the fact that I coach both teams, they were never scheduled at the same time. The boys always got the 9 a.m. games. Yeah. So it was always 10 to 15 degrees at game time. I'm sorry, to you Americans, 60 to 65. They were like ready to go, but it's tough when it gets to, I guess, 80 is hot. Yeah. When you get to those afternoon games, those girls, you just see it when they walk up and their faces are already red. You're like, oh, criminy, this is going to be bad. And it's the same thing about playing in Miami in December. Like, oh no, it was 4 degrees when I left my house. Now we're playing in 90 degrees.
100%.
What do you got for us, Shayne?
I told you guys when I look at the schedule, the first thing I do is look at the last 4 and those last 4. And I kind of like the way that it ends up for Chicago because, Phil brought up the weather in Miami, but you're finishing it with 3 straight games that are probably going to be extremely cold, inclement weather, snow-wise. When you have Buffalo, Green Bay, and Detroit before you go on the road to Minnesota. So I hate to bring up this name, but I got to bring up the name Matt Nagy when he's talking about getting calloused. That's getting your guys prepared for the Super Bowl run, for the playoffs, where hopefully you have a good enough record that everything is coming through Chicago, where you're ready to go and used to that weather, and they're coming to Soldier Field to battle the elements, much like we saw last year. And your guys have been in it 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Yeah. So I think that's what's best for the Bears, but I also think with finishing up so strong within the division, I think that's the toughest part and the most important both.
Yeah, and it's cool too because you got 2 teams, Detroit and Green Bay, who don't like playing in the cold. Yeah, that's the best part of it.
Yeah, definitely some fair points. So again, like I said, you got the most important 4 games. I can't believe I messed this up, and that's where my brain has been all day, just messed up. But all I know is. Those first 4 games, 3 of the 4 at home, pretty crucial there. But, again, we talked about it earlier, 3 straight primetime games. You can make an argument there. And then, again, Bills, Packers, Lions, Vikings. There's a lot there. But I think overall when we knew who we were playing a month ago, but we didn't know how the layout of the schedule, it's a very tough schedule. And it was tough. It looked tough last year too, to Rank's point. But that being said, just like last year, I do think the schedule is kind of spread across the season pretty well from a balanced perspective. You've got some winnable games early, in September, dare I say the Panthers. And then you got some winnable games in October, the Jets, right? Then you got some winnable games in November with the Saints. And then in December with the Jags. And that's kind of what happened last year too. So from a balanced perspective, you got the week bye right in the middle. Got some wonky. I mean, it's the first time in Bears history where you're going to have the Bears playing on a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday night, and a Monday night. The only two
Gotta get that Tuesday. Yeah, gotta get that Tuesday
game.
game.
And Wednesday are the only 2 days they don't play.
There's a game on Blackout Wednesday.
Yeah, they got the Packers on there. So, everybody's got to deal with,
I want to say this though.
Hold on real quick, because I got to run. I got to run to a break, so I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I got to run though.
Yeah,
let me say goodbye.
Got to run
because you railroaded me through the last one. I'm just joking.
You got to run. You get 30 seconds to say goodbye, and then we're going to take a quick timeout.
No, I just wanted to say thanks again for having me here. So great to see you guys. A lot of fun. Phil's the only one who caught what I was saying about the Packers and the Lions, and I love you for it. And he kept cackling during the whole thing. The other guys will figure it out at some other point. But I actually do believe that's the truth. I don't think that team likes to play in the cold, even though they're from Green Bay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we missed you, Adam. Congrats on all your coaching success. I appreciate you jumping on here tonight. We missed you, so we wanted to bring you back in, especially to talk some schedule, and we'll figure out down the road when each of you are going to
the 3-family golf tournament.
That's what I'm saying. When are you guys coming to Chicago? That'll be a segment for a show here coming down the road once you guys figure out your travel itinerary. Speaking of travel, have some interesting stats when we come back from the other side on some advantages the Bears have from a travel perspective and some advantages that the Bears have from a rest perspective versus some of the opponents that they're going up against this year. So don't go away, and I'll give you those interesting stats coming up. But first, as a proud customer of Xfinity, I definitely got to give a shout out and make sure you become a customer as well, because you're going to get reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi with Xfinity. And if you could get that for the same price for 5 years, you're only getting that at Xfinity with their Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. It's a Wi-Fi that makes everything work in your home in perfect harmony, helps find and fix the problems before you even notice them. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Call it Spider-Man. Call it the best Wi-Fi you ever had. Call it Xfinity. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years, but you want to make sure your price stays the same. You'll get that with Xfinity, so lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Shout out Xfinity. And then, of course, shout out to our guy, Ray Scarpelli, and the good people over at Ray Chevy Auto. Love those guys always. And you can get huge start of the summer deals all month long at Ray Chevrolet during their Memorial Day sales event. So stop in today and get below supplier pricing plus no payments for 120 days on new Chevrolet models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with one of Chicago's largest Chevy inventories. You're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal. Don't forget about Ray's price promise that helps you shop confident. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't let the summer start without shopping their Memorial Day sales event going on all month long for below supplier pricing plus no payments for 120 days. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. And we're back here on CHGO Bears After Dark as I struggled through that ad read. Thank you all for bearing with me on that. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Shout out to Adam Rank, as always, jumping on. We appreciate him, getting through his coaching season. We're getting through the off season, and it was nice to catch up with one Adam Rank here tonight. And we had a few different comments from the chat. People certainly appreciating it. TJ Johnson saying, I swear After Dark is my honest favorite show. Brags, Rank, TTNL, Chef's Kiss. We appreciate you, TJ. And Scottish Bear adds on to that saying After Dark is at its best when all three families are in the building together. Well, you got that tonight, Scottish Bear. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Even Don Burr, who's licking his wounds after the Pistons lost in 7. We're really upset for you. Really feel bad for you. That really sucks. No, we actually don't care, and we're happy that happened to you. And we wish nothing but awful things for you, Don Burr, but we appreciate you joining regardless. So let's get into it because I teased before the break some interesting stats that have come across my waiver wire on Twitter regarding – while it, obviously strength of schedule, certainly tough for the Bears this year. They have a lot of primetime games. They have multiple short weeks throughout the year that they have to deal with. That being said, they didn't get an international game, which plays into this first stat, which is the Bears are one of the lower teams in the NFL that will have travel miles that they're going to have to deal with. Now, you'll see at the top, if you're watching here on YouTube, the number 1 and 2 teams in the league with an astounding number are the 49ers and the Rams. The 49ers, of course, I believe have 2 international games this year. But even beyond that, West Coast teams more often than not are going to be some of your most traveled teams just based off of their location. Regardless of that fact, the 49ers are with a commanding lead of almost 49,000 miles that they're going to have to travel. That's number 1 in the NFL. All the way down to 30th in the league is the Chicago Bears with just under 11,000 travel miles that they'll have to go up against. So, when you look at the NFC North in general, the Packers are at 27th. You kind of go up the list. The Lions have the 16th most travel miles that they're going to have to deal with here in the league. So, you've got some different ones. And then the Vikings are at 25th. So all of them in the bottom half, but the Bears having the least amount of travel miles by a wide margin. I mean, almost a 40,000 difference from the 49ers, who were one of the teams that the Bears were fighting for a playoff spot with them last year, before the Bears were able to clinch the division. So that's really, as much as I would have preferred the Bears to play the Falcons in Madrid, because now you're taking away one of our road games and turning it into an international home game, even though it would have certainly been a long travel itinerary for the team. I would have preferred that. That being said, you got to like what you see in terms of the travel miles there, Shayne.
Yeah. And it is what it is. Like you said, I think it was Scottish Bear had in the chat, Australia's a long way away, you know what I mean, for their travel, and that's a big part of it. But listen, it's not like these guys are flying, on little puddle jumpers and they're lounged out, and I'm not gonna feel too bad for them overall. I've been on but I think it does take a toll. Like all of it adds up, the short weeks, the travel, the rest versus the team, which we'll talk about here in a minute. How many days rest the team you're playing versus how many days of rest you have. Like all of those things, I think add up. Sure, that was the benefit when the rumor was that the Bears were going to start off the year in Seattle. You get that out of the way, and then you weren't beyond the west of the Mississippi after that. So it's in words of a power analyst, that would be considered an A++ schedule at that point.
That's right.
But yeah, it is what it is.
You think Hogue would have given Spirit Airlines an A+ rating?
Spirit, no. I guarantee Hogue has real talk there.
He took them in the Damascus car bombs in the 15th round of his horrible flight mock draft.
You got the travel miles, and then just kind of tie all this together, Phil. Then you have the rest edge, and Warren Sharp has been providing some interesting stats here the last couple weeks. And he went on to say today that the Bears play 5 games in 2026 with a rest edge over their opponent, meaning they have more rest days than the team they're going up against that week coming up this 2026 season. That's tied for the most in the NFL with 5 games where they have that advantage. Obviously rest matters more, but they have 0 game. They have late in the season when rest matters more, Chicago plays 4 games with a rest edge after week 10 with 0 games at a rest deficit. So certainly something interesting from a preparation standpoint. Warren Sharp goes on to kind of point out, if you look last year, they were 29th, the Bears were, in prep and rest rank, and then 25th in net rest rank. So that's the cumulative for the whole season of how many days you had rest versus how many days your opponent did for the season. They were -4 last year in that category, which was 25th in the NFL. This year, they're number 1 in prep and rest rank from 29 last year, and they're number 1 in net rest rank plus 15-day advantage versus their opponents, jumping from 25 last year. This year, the Bears have this number 2 largest net rest edge for any team since 1990. So, at the end of the day, when the ball gets kicked off, and I know that's probably where you're going to go with this, Phil, as a coach, all that goes out the window. But at the end of the day, these guys are human beings, and football is about a war of attrition, and these things take a toll on your body. When you hear these players on how they get ready for game day each Sunday, those little advantages, it's a game of inches on and off the field. And so I think these things will pay dividends for the Bears this season, or at least obviously I hope they do.
Well, those stats are nice to look at when you got nothing to talk about, but the reality is I can come back and battle that. Like, players want to get to the next game as soon as possible sometimes, and teams want to get there.
Yeah, to your point, Cole has said on our show that he likes the Thursday night games because, it's a quick turnaround, but we get the game done. Now we get a little bit of a bye.
Yep.
Right. And the real talk of this is there is some merit in there. If there's a guy that's been injured, the more rest, the quicker they could get back to practicing. But in that math or whatever he's doing there, which is interesting, I'm not going to say if it matters or if it doesn't. Is there rest in regards to days off, or are those practice days that you're saying those are rest days? That is kind of shady in that math that he's doing, because what are you doing? You're preparing. If that's a day off is a day off. They give them Tuesday off or whatever. That's a day off. A real rest day is that Tuesday. But every other day, we're getting to work. We're in the film. We're on the chalkboard. We're getting out at 9 o'clock, going home, coming back the next morning at 7:30 for treatment, tape, whatever. So I get what they're saying. That's a great guide for fantasy football, but I think coaches are going to use every moment of time to prepare for the next opponent. And as long as I've been around the game, including playing it myself, I want to get to the next game as soon as possible. Yep. I know that doesn't correlate. Our bodies take a toll, but when you're in that and you're in football conditioned, or we're going to bring Nagy up again, calloused up for the season, you are wanting those games to come. That's the fun part. That's when you have great coaching, the games are fun. You're in it. It stinks to lose, but you battled and you learn from it. And that's how it builds character.
Yep. Eric Beauchamp here in the chat saying the additional prep time is a big advantage for Ben Johnson to have to develop a game plan. To your point, 100%. Phil, the rest days, the extra days before your game, if there's a guy in the injury report and, is limited, if it's a shorter week versus more rest days, they might have an opportunity to return. Just some things, like you said, off-season chatter for sure. Not going to fight that, but also something of
interesting to see it.
Yeah, interesting. And what else is interesting is I nailed the ad reads before the 50-minute mark as per rule, and now I'm going to hit overtime right on the button. Steven would be proud of me. And then the video didn't work.
Double.
Yeah.
You jinxed yourself. The double overtime. This is double overtime. We only could go for 2.
Steven is back to hating Greg now.
I love Steven, who was amazing.
Can you tell I was at Black Sheep all day golfing when I don't understand my own segment that I built and I don't know how to hit the overtime button properly? Yeah, I think you probably can. And speaking of Black Sheep and playing some golf today, a lot of fun with my guy Sam. He's a big fan of the show, but he's also a huge fan of both of you. We had a long conversation about the work you guys do and how much you help educate football fans, and he's a patron at the Tape Never Lies Network. He watches all your film breakdowns. He's a great guy, and he's a huge fan of both of you. And I think this is an easy point to remind everyone to make sure you're subscribed to the Tape Never Lies Network, become a patron, support these guys the way they have shown endless support to me, but not just me, but this company here at CHGO, joining here on Monday nights here on CHGO Bears After Dark. He also, Sam wanted me to send a message to you, Shayne, specifically, but both of you guys. But, I think he's kind of in your corner, Shayne, of the point you've been making about Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson saying, hey, this is on you. You bought the groceries the last 2 years. I got you a first-round safety, and now you're going to coach this team to be a much better defense than last year, or you're gone. And that was kind of, I'm paraphrasing what Sam was saying today, but he was sitting here like, Ben's calling Dennis Allen out, and I want you to pass that message along. I was like, nobody's going to hear this better than Shayne, because
and I totally agree, and I had to laugh because Robert Mays had a clip that was traveling around, yesterday, talking about the Bears and how they've really they're paying for their sins,
of last year.
Yeah, but
it's really the sins of the last 5 years, and not to steal your thunder, but that is an annoying that, like, Robert Mays does great work, but like I'm hearing that kind of line being echoed, like where it's like giving an excuse for, like, I just
did you hear him? Did you hear him talk about the draft at all?
No,
it was all free agency,
right?
Nobody was asking for the Bears to go out and overpay people in free agency just to overpay.
Right.
Nobody was screaming for Boye Mafe, like Robert Mays brought up. Nobody said that. It's the fact that the continued dismissal of it. And you're damn right that Ben Johnson is not going to cut corners. He's not that type of guy. And if it comes right down to it, it's, hey, maybe Al Harris is his next guy. Maybe he's not. But Dennis Allen is 100% on notice.
Yeah, I mean, like I
hear it in his voice. And I know, Greg, last week when you and I did the solo show there, and you were, excited about what Dennis said. I heard a nervous man that was openly grasping at straws. That he sounded nervous to me. He sounded kind of on edge. He sounded like somebody that got told, hey, you better shape up or you're going to be shipped out in short order.
I thought it was just notable. I thought he was being very transparent, I think is what I appreciated about it. And I also appreciated maybe somewhat of an explanation of, focusing too much on the scheme and trying to install this defense and not focusing enough on the fundamentals and the technique. And, we talked with Austin Booker last week. He was in studio. I believe we're going to play that interview.
But just real quick, this isn't breaking news, and Phil can tell you this better than anybody. The Bears defense wasn't subpar because of a fundamental issue. They were subpar because the players are subpar.
Yep.
It doesn't have anything to do with fundamentals. Can you sneak out a couple more plays? Yes. But that's a bold-faced lie. What that is listen, I've been presented with a turd sandwich, and I have to make it look like Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep. Well, and that's my thing, and that's where we've talked about this kind of endlessly for the last month, but it's like, what Robert Mays said in his clip about, the Bears are paying for the sins. I don't, but, paraphrasing, and Shayne said it a minute ago, but, basically saying like the Bears defensive line is what it is because they are paying for the sins of last off season's, personnel decisions. And I think a lot of people push back. We're like, well, time out. It's really the sins of the last 4 or 5 off seasons that has led to, kind of where this defensive line is. But what I don't like about that is I get it. Grady Jarrett can't be cut. Dio Dangbo can't be cut. Jervon Dexter can't be cut. Like you got these guys in here. Montez Sweat can't be cut. Austin Booker is an up and comer that has some intrigue. One of the few, right? But it's just a hard pill for me to swallow to sell me that you couldn't get any kind of creativity this offseason to try to makeshift something that wasn't just a flaw in your roster,
right,
but the biggest flaw you have. And you have this first round first round pick safety. You get this top line safety from the Super Bowl champs. You hope for returned health of Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson. You've got a loaded secondary if healthy. You've got a linebacker in Devin Bush, who I'm excited for, right? You draft, a linebacker. You're putting into those positions, but you know what? Those guys will not be able to develop properly if they're having to hang on for dear life because the D line can't wreck games. So, it's all gonna kind of come together. And I thought Dennis Allen did. The one silver lining about Dennis Allen that we talked about last week, Shayne and Phil, maybe you'll agree with this, is he did a hell of a job coaching that defense in the playoffs in the second half of the game against the Packers and the whole game against the Rams. So if there's anything of the negative kind of worries we have going into this season, I think that's the one positive I can take from what Dennis Allen did at the end of last season.
Right. And can you bring up Cornell Bryant's comment there, Greg?
It depends. I don't like Cornell. So
it's fine. It's just he's asking me a question, even though he spelled my name wrong.
Yeah, Cornell says, so why are you saying DA's on the hot seat if what you said is true, Shayne, about the D-line not being good enough?
Because Ben Johnson wasn't out there saying, banging the table for Dio Dangbo. Ben Johnson wasn't out there banging the table for Ruben Hippolyte. Ben Johnson wasn't out there banging the table for Grady Jarrett. Those are all DA's calls.
Shamar Turner with a rod in his leg.
All of those guys. So yeah, it's the Bears put a ton of money into that defensive line, and again, this is where it goes beyond Dennis Allen, and it's simple. And anybody, and I know we have people in our comments weekly that are positive that Phil and I hate Ryan Poles for different reasons. And I ask them all the same thing. He's had 5 NFL off seasons here now. He's had 5 NFL drafts here. Who is the foundational piece on defense in 5 years that Ryan Poles has been here for? Who is it? There's not one. I don't want to hear Dylan Thieneman because nobody knows yet.
Yep.
And if you're telling me that your foundational piece is a safety, I am going to show you a house that's going to fall over pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no arguing it.
I've spoken about this so long, in fact, that we made a graphic to showcase every other team in the NFL has selected a defensive end or edge player over the last 5 years except 2 teams, the Commanders and the Bears. There's never even been an attempt in the top half of the draft. And before first 4 rounds.
First 3 rounds, right?
First 4 rounds.
Is it 4? Because we got Austin Booker, I think.
Austin Booker
he's a 5th. You're correct.
was a 5th
Yeah,
round.
you gave up a future. You gave up a future for it.
4th. So you'll have a blog boy try to combat that with that kind of rationale, but it's a 5th round selection. That's what we're trying to showcase. And the same thing is being said in regards to trading for Montez Sweat.
Right. And then
prospect.
Phil, you know, as a head coach, if I'm the general manager of a team and we're trying to build our team and we're attacking it a certain way in the offseason, and I go to Phil and I'm like, hey, I'm looking at this guy over here on the defensive line, and Phil's like, no, he doesn't fit what I do. He's not what I want. Guess who I'm not signing?
That guy.
That guy, right.
Exactly.
So that's
a problem with DA.
This is how the NFL works. Ryan Poles is not going out and signing a guy because Ryan Poles likes him. Ryan Poles is going out and getting guys on defense that Dennis Allen wants.
Yep.
For his scheme. And I don't want to hear the stuff about athletic profile and they went different. They didn't draft a defensive lineman. So you're lying again. You didn't even bring one in UDFA.
Not even one. I don't see a swing at it. In fact, I've been on the record, Greg, on my show. I wasn't here last week, but I don't remember if I said it. But, you know, I put my name to it. I would have taken Cassius Howell at 25 over Dylan Thieneman. I just look at the game of football like this. It's the Holy Trinity. And when you do it right, it's quarterback, you got it. Pass rusher is number 2. You've never got it. So Robert Mays, please pick your head out of the ground and pay attention. It's been 5 years that has been neglected. And then it's left tackle. So those 3, 2 out of the 3, you have question marks, and you have a rookie phenom at quarterback.
Right.
Now's the time to get that. So,
but
it's sad.
Yeah, BJ, Jordan Vandenberg is not an edge rusher, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about.
Vandenberg is a defensive tackle, a defensive tackle picked into the 7th round. It's not trying to like belittle the Bear. It's to tell the truth and show. Now, the Bears could turn around in June or July and trade for Max Crosby or some, and that addresses the issue. But if you have a defensive coordinator who's entitled to traits, and if they don't fit, and at the same side of his mouth, he's saying no to a guy he's calling a future Hall of Famer, but we don't know, how does Cam Jordan not help this football team? How? Someone explain that thought process to me. I don't understand their process. And Austin Booker, to me, is an exciting, ascending football player. But don't show me Austin Booker's workout videos with weightlifters. That means 0 to me. The only positive is he's working on his body, which is a plus, but that doesn't mean anything yet. When Greg goes to camp, sees these guys in practice, and they start playing those live reps, and now you're getting worried because there's no pass rush. I don't want to hear you, but. This is a problem you have to solve. It's like a leaky pipe in the basement. You don't wait on it.
And the worst part about it too is it would be a hard sell if this whole defensive line was fully healthy and they were trying to say, 100%. Hey, these guys are going to get the job done because we're going to focus on the fundamentals. 2 of your most pivotal pieces, Shamar Turner, a 2nd-round pick last year, and Dio Demo, one of your top free agents you signed last year, wherever you're putting either guy, D tackle, DN, I don't care. The point is, neither are healthy currently, and we don't know when they will be healthy.
Right.
And so like that, you're putting yourself behind the microscope already with this unit. And then if anybody, God forbid, goes down at any point through camp or to start the season, then where are you at? So, it was a problem all of last year that they survived through, right?
Right.
And now you're banking on trying to make it through again. It's a hard sell, man.
Right. And you're putting an awful lot of assets into players. And when I say assets, I'm talking about draft picks and cash. And now this predates Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, but you paid DeMarcus Walker to come here and rush the passer as an outside rusher. Phil and I told you when he signed here, he's better as an inside guy. And that's exactly what he was. They draft Jervon Dexter. They weren't getting what they needed to out of him on the inside, so they dabbled with putting him on the outside. They signed Dayo Adengbo to be an outside rusher, and he's better at the inside, while they also paid an aging Grady Jarrett. Now they draft Shamar Turner as a defensive tackle, yet another interior rusher where they've attacked multiple times and whiffed resoundingly every time. And now what is he? He's outside. So this is eerily similar to the Bears under Lovie Smith and Mark Trestman. They would go out and they'd get the ultimate athlete on the offensive line in Kyle Long, and you didn't want to put him out. You didn't want to leave him at tackle. We're gonna put him at guard, and then we're gonna put him in here, and then we signed I always forget the guy's name from the Packers, and then the night before the season or the week before the season starts, they're moving him around. It's the constant upheaval to mix and match and to fill holes, rather than. And what happens, Greg, when the Bears finally took the offensive line serious when Ben Johnson got here? They started to win. They won their division. And if you take your defensive line serious, guess what your next step is? It's to kick down the damn door to everything and win it all. But until then, it's hard to believe that the Bears are going to go in and kick that door down when, like I said, I've brought it up multiple times. Go back to the last play versus Green Bay in the playoffs. Tell me what Austin Booker's doing.
Yep.
Go to the 49ers game. It's on now. Watch Austin Booker get juked by Brock Purdy. And your boy Tremaine Edmonds leave his coverage. That cost you a game. That was third down. Billings is running over. Everyone could see it. If you're a Bears fan, I know Trey is, and he might be doing karaoke. I got to get in. I got to get in the karaoke with him. He misses and whiffs and gets juked by Brock Purdy. Like, I'm never going to – Shayne has all the names. Jeremiah Chroma. You got all these names. I don't know what they are. Maybe they see potential.
No one does. They've never had snaps in the NFL.
Any good team would look at Austin Booker and say that he is going to be part of
a rotation
to attack the quarterback. The Bears are reverting to the 1998 Bears and said, "Oh, we discovered Marcus Robinson out of South Carolina in the 4th round of the draft. That's fine. Oh, we traded for Jay Cutler. Offense is fixed.
Devin Hester's are going to be our number 1 wide receiver because we have to pay him." And
look at it like this. One other thing, mathematically, how you traded for Darrell Taylor, he left. You traded for Joe Troyanka, whatever.
Yeah. Joe Tryon,
right? He signed with the Eagles, right? You lose him. Dom Robb, that you picked again in the 5th round, Greg. It's a 5th round selection. He went to Houston. You replaced him. You replaced those 2 guys in your rotation with nobody. Shamar Turner coming off an injury when we don't know, is he going to be healthy for camp? To sit there and say It's stop complaining, stop ruining our vibes, stop doing. I'm like, this is the most insane construction of a
motivated
defense I've
Dio.
ever
Do you know how
seen.
many? Do you know how many sacks Dio Adangbo has over his last 17 NFL football games?
Yeah, I heard somebody saying this stat last week, so I know what the answer is. Who was the one that brought this up? Was it Weeder?
I don't know who it was.
Somebody brought it up on the show.
He had 1 sack over his last 17.
And you paid him
48 million.
48 million. But we broke it down. You made it like it's over Khalil Mack. What Khalil's getting and with the Chargers.
Khalil's was a one-year deal.
1 year, 18 million.
It was Clay. That's who it was. It was. I heard Clay Harbor say it on.
He definitely stole it from us.
Poached it from Shayne, 100%.
What I heard him say it.
Like
you know how I am about.
He does have a tendency.
I didn't hear you guys. I heard it.
Thanks, Greg, for watching our show.
Everybody does a great job. Everybody loves everybody.
I love Clay.
Yeah.
But
Clay's a good dude.
This is a hard
bleachers
pause for us. This is something that gets me very nervous. And you listen, this safety, I broke him down. And shout out to your boy Sam. Appreciate the kind words. I broke him down and I see a good football player. I believe Cassius Howell would have given this football team the thing that it's needing, that high-end, twitchy, aggressive, nonstop motor bend to the quarterback, young football player that you don't have. Now, I don't care where players go. I'm not that way. Well, he went in the second round. Let's see how he does. I believe he went to Cincinnati, right? We'll see how he does there. I am now over that. Whatever this young man brings to the table, I'm excited about. I think he's a great football player. I just don't build outside in. I've never heard that. And I've been around football my whole life. I've never heard a GM or coach say, you know what? We're going to make the quarterback hold the ball longer. That's our plan.
From our the D-line is going to benefit from the second.
Oh, my God.
But the general manager actually said that.
Said it.
Yeah.
He said it.
Phil thought it was
talking about.
Okay.
This is AI.
Okay.
This is AI. Greg.
He didn't mean it. Okay. He was just like me with the segment earlier of
we need motivated polls.
Toughest 4 games, important 4 games.
Motivated polls.
Sometimes you say things you don't mean. Okay. So
we will see.
But no, I just thought I'd bring that up because
you always get me fired up with DMs.
Yeah, I triggered Adam. See, I guess I must be a good host because I knew with rank that if I brought up the Angels, that would trigger him. And of course, that led to a 7-minute rip.
Why didn't you wait to bring that up until I was here?
Yeah.
I was going to say something.
And that's where it's a bad job by me because if I was smart, we get right into the football talk. Let him say this stuff about baseball at the end. But it is what it is. It's the off season. We're having fun. And, anybody that's tuned in May or June to our program or what you guys do over at Tape Never Lies Network, those guys are the ones that are committed and diehards and loyal, and they're going to be here for the whole thing. And so it doesn't go unnoticed for all of you in the chat hanging out with us here tonight. Hit the like button if you're still watching live. It always helps kind of push the algorithm to viewers that may not know about the CHGO Sports Channel. So that's the easiest way to show your support and help what we're trying to build here. And obviously what these guys are building over at Tape Never Lies Network as well. So spread the love, spread the support. It's always appreciative. So that wraps things up for tonight. Now that I got everyone triggered up here a little bit, probably our final schedule show. I know we pumped a bunch out at the end of last week, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it in ranks as well. So glad we were kind of able to kind of go back over it now that the dust is settled over the weekend. So appreciate everybody hanging out. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. CHGO Bears will be live. So make sure you're
Are you on the show?
that. I am not. Tomorrow is a vacation day for me. I want you to take a wild guess what I will be doing tomorrow.
Playing golf, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Not going to the dumpster, Barb. Anyways, go ahead.
well, it's funny you say that because while we're doing the show 10 minutes ago, my mom's trying to sell her house right now, and it's been a lot of work over the last few weeks, but might be getting some good news here soon.
So buy Greg's mom's house.
Yeah. You could live in the very house that
I've been living there for free for years. Why would I buy
okay. This is exactly what you should have ended it 3 minutes ago.
Do that on purpose, I swear.
Yes. So, some big days ahead for my mom here. So happy for her.
Barb.
Yeah.
Brewers up 8-3, by the way. Go ahead. Close it out.
We love you, Barb.
Yeah, the White Sox, man. They took it to us too. So
Chris Gonzalez said, "Fly the L." He texted me to tell you.
Did he? Yeah. Yes. Well, unfortunately, he can't reach me. So that's real unfortunate. Oh man. So appreciate you guys as always. And yes, we are back to every Monday night CHGO Bears After Dark. Yep, even through the off season, we will continue to roll through, have fun. Maybe we'll get unique with it and get creative as we get through June and early July and do some different shows and maybe try to go a different route or angle with some of our Bears topics and just continue to have fun and show the passion and love for this sport and this team that we always have had. So my Midwestern goodbye is running out. Thank you, Phil Ottochian, Shayne Marsaw. And make sure you're subscribed to the Tape Never Lies Network and shout out to Adam Rank as well for jumping on here today. We certainly missed him and it was fun to chop it up with him as well. So once again, 1 p.m. Central tomorrow for CHGO Bears. And that's about it here for tonight. Thank you all again. Keep your head up and always bear down.
Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.